Kia ora koutou katoa, my name's Jo. I'm here to introduce you to the challenge proposal that we have put up in the DLT Entrepreneurship Toolbox challenge. We're proposing to build a library of proposer case studies. We live in an iterative world. Everything is informed by what comes before. And entrepreneurs are very good at learning from other entrepreneurs that have come before them. If they can see them, if they can see their story and understand how they composed their proposal and their ideas, it makes it easier for them to see themselves in the stories of those entrepreneurs that have come before. Our target audience for the library of Cardano proposer case studies is the entrepreneur that wants to design something for their community but doesn't know how to start and is probably a little bit intimidated, because that's our experience, most people are, by the whole business world and certainly the technology world. If they can see the ideas presented by other people and see themselves in those stories, it gives them more confidence. So our solution is to tell the stories of the people that have made proposals to Project Catalyst already, who they are, how they came to design their idea, what their proposal process looked like, and how they got help from all of you guys along the way to create an awesome proposal. And in the process, we all get to learn a lot. We're looking forward to undertaking the research that's required to create this solution for the DLT Toolbox, speaking to all of the wonderful people that have proposed challenges and proposed solutions on the Cardano platform, telling their stories so that people can understand that it's people just like them that are designing solutions for the platform. There are 3 of us on the team. My co-founder, Pascal Hibou-Perron, is a teacher by trade, and for the last 7 years has been working out the rubrics that are needed to teach entrepreneurs how to launch new businesses. Rob is a software engineer, architect, and the brains of the operation when it comes to distributed systems and using the Cardano technology. And then I'm Jo. I'm a graphic designer and come from a publishing background, marketing, and I'm a social entrepreneur who started with my co-founders Venture Centre 7.5 years ago. So initially we'll do some research to understand the proposals that have been put up. There are now 6 funds, so there's a huge amount of proposals to choose from, to find the people that are happy to talk with us and tell us a little bit about their story, the background of themselves, as well as how they came to be designing for the Cardano platform. As we interview people, we'll see some commonalities in their stories, which will allow us to create a bit of a structure for the case studies, which will make it easier to design more of them and film more of them as we go along, so that we can create a really good library with lots of different people and lots of different experiences of designing for the Cardano platform. So we'll know if we've been successful because people will be watching the videos, understanding the case studies, and applying some of those things that they see in those case studies from proposers that have already created Cardano products to help them create their solution. So we'll be tracking use of the case studies across the Cardano ecosystem through social media metrics, but also through some interviews with people that have used those videos to find out how they were useful. This proposal is all about telling stories. I've met some incredible people in the Cardano ecosystem already. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to tell their stories in more depth so that we can all understand just what it takes to create the future.
Humanity is struggling with a serious disease, and it isn't going away anytime soon. That disease is, you guessed it, complacency. It's clear that our governments and institutions are working inefficiently and often against public opinion. Their failure to respond to climate change, pollution, drug reform, and more display the inadequacy of governments to work for the people's needs. Most would agree, yet a peculiar thing happens. No one does anything. People either feel helpless, indifferent, or pass the blame on to future generations. What can we do to break this cycle? Cardano and Project Catalyst may be the key to solve these problems. However, while it empowers individuals with a fair voting process and opportunities to contribute their ideas, it is not perfect. Those with the most capital still have the most power and the greatest opportunities to increase their wealth. Largely, this is because entrepreneurship is time and resource intensive and not designed for the average person. Most people don't have enough time to learn entrepreneurship and design their product, don't have enough money to hire employees and pay for services and goods, and may not have the grit, social skills, or desire for leadership that make a successful entrepreneur. These barriers are enormous to say the least, and push the majority away from entrepreneurship. In 2017, there were an estimated 582 million entrepreneurs in the world, or about 8% of the total population. In contrast, what percentage of the population has, at some point, come up with an idea for a new product or service, or has ideas they think would provide meaningful change to their work or hobby? It's hard to say, but I guess closer to 100%. When most of the world is being denied the chance to turn their ideas into revenue, how can society truly be fair? Hi, I'm Matt Halloran. I'm a 23-year-old software engineer from the United States that's been programming since the age of 14. For as long as I can remember, I've been obsessed with contemplating the future. And to do this properly, I also needed to study the past. Time and time again, I'd come to the conclusion that humanity is fragile. Many seemingly stable civilizations have collapsed, and there's no reason to believe that we're immune. Now that we have nukes and biological weapons, a collapse could mean total extinction. If we want humanity to spread across the galaxy, we could benefit from a massive breakthrough in the speed of technological progress. Vruli is my solution to this problem. It's based on the notion that entrepreneurship is a forcing function for innovation, and know where low-code workflows built on top of blockchains will give way to unprecedented rates of innovation. It will start out small, as a guide for helping proposers implement their ideas. This is done through visual work routines. A routine is the process of completing a specific task. A work routine completes productive tasks, such as creating a business outline, deciding on a budget, and generating a proposal. A visual work routine is an interactive tool that guides users through the process of completing a task with descriptions and guides along every step of the way. By combining visual work routines, we as a community can converge on an optimal routine that's designed for the entire entrepreneurship process. What would this optimal routine look like? Remember, we need a process that minimizes time and capital requirements, is easy enough to accomplish without prior business experience, and is suitable for those that are not very sociable or workaholics. If this event wasn't live, this is a point where I'd encourage you to pause the video and think about it for a few minutes. Luckily, I've thought about this for much longer than that, so here's one prediction. Users enter a name and description of their idea into Vruli, or begin with a routine that's already been defined, such as a placeholder routine. They are given an option to mint an NFT with this data to signify proof of idea. Then they are guided through the knowledge management process. This is a process for defining objectives, creating a business model, determining required resources, and more. Then the user can decide their funding sources and use the data generated from knowledge management to create proposals, Kickstarters, and any other funding methods they require. At the same time, users can create social media accounts, a website, and other points of contact for their idea if needed, all guided by the routine. If their idea has enough funding, they're redirected to other routines that align more directly with their business area, or are encouraged to make a routine from their experience if none exist. This optimal routine is by no means trivial to make and will require many iterations to reach. As technology improves, this could be simplified even more, to the point that people and even AI satisfiers can send ideas through the routine without much effort at all. As our connection to technology improves, from smartphones to digital assistants to augmented reality and finally to Neuralink, the efficiency of idea capture may improve to the point that, instead of entrepreneurship, the process is viewed as mining the collective intelligence. After all, the most advanced computer on the planet is the human brain, and there are over 7 billion of them. Shouldn't we strive to maximize their utility? Vruli is still in the beginning of its journey, and as such will be designed very carefully. Success for its first proposal is in the completion of a minimal viable product, or MVP for short. This includes the ability to create, copy, edit, comment, and vote on routines, as well as the ability to step through routines in an intuitive way. For technical details, see the project's GitHub. Once the MVP is complete, that's when the fun begins. There are several branches of development that can be worked on. These include connecting routines to user interfaces, connecting smart contracts, the addition of timing metadata to help users schedule their work, reading and storing data from the blockchain, private sources, and public internet, gamification of creating and executing routines such as leaderboards and daily tasks, and much more that I don't have time to mention. If this project interests you, I'd love to get feedback, and am open to acquiring team members to handle future proposals. For more information, visit vruli.com. Thank you for considering this project.
Hello, everyone. Hope that all of you in the Cardano community and the Project Catalyst members are having a great summit. My name is Will Tams. I'd like to take a moment just to introduce myself and let you know a little bit about who I am and my proposal, and see if you have any questions. I am the founder and director of creative at the Collective Spark Creative, which is my graphic design studio. I've been working in the field of graphic design for the past 25 years in the San Francisco Bay Area here. One of my main areas of focus is presentation design. And I've done a significant amount of presentation design at executive level for Fortune 500 companies, as well as startups and small individuals. It's something that I'm very passionate about and believe very strongly in, and it directly relates to what I would like to do here. I think I've had a lot of opportunities over the last 25 years. One of the most foundational and informing experiences that I had was working at Apple. About 10 years into my career, I had the great opportunity of being able to be in charge of designing and preparing all the presentation materials for Steve Jobs on a weekly basis. That consisted of taking all of the creative from our graphic design group and compositing it into these 4-foot by 8-foot large panels that were then printed out, mounted, and taken to his office for presentation. The one thing that I learned from that, I learned a lot of things in that role, but one of the most important things I learned was really the importance of presentation and how that comes to bear, how the presentation of the idea married with a strong idea is what gives it its impact. So I'd like to dive in and tell you a little bit about my proposal. I'm going to share my screen here and take you to the top. So my proposal is called Proposal Templates and Guidelines, and it's essentially very top-level elevator pitch. What it's about, so I'm proposing to create 4 to 6 templates. They'd be Google Slide templates that all the proposers would have access to in order to organize and present their ideas to the community advisors and to the community as a whole. And I'd also, in terms of guidelines, be creating 8 succinct short videos about the key principles of presentation design that would help give people an understanding of how to organize their ideas and how to best present those ideas using information hierarchy and a number of sort of foundational principles of design. Currently, proposers have text fields where we enter text in and we can bold certain things, but it's a bit of a hamstrung and simplified process that doesn't allow for a lot of strength in presentation. This particular challenge, the Entrepreneurship Toolbox, is essentially about how early stage entrepreneurs can develop their skills and to execute and communicate great ideas so that the voters and stakeholders can value the project. I think, as you can see, you can sense, the creation of these templates would be an ideal way to help essentially arm those entrepreneurs with the ability to do exactly that. Here's a sample section of the proposal as I would envision it. Rather than just entering text into text fields, you could have a slide that talks about the target audiences, for example, and who would benefit from the successful funding of this proposal. In my case, it's the proposers, obviously, by strengthening their proposals themselves. It's the stakeholders, and it's the Cardano community, current and future. A presentation, I don't have a lot of time, but just to give a sense, this could then go into each of those 3, the proposers themselves, the stakeholders, and the community as a whole. And in this sense, because the strongest ideas could be selected by means of the presentation through these proposal templates and understanding through these video guidelines, the value of Project Catalyst and the value of the currency of ADA itself, when we voted upon these, would also grow by association. I believe my time is up, so thank you. Feedback and questions, comments are all welcome. My email address again is will@thecollectivespark.com. And my proposal is proposal templates and guidelines. Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Richard Nugent. I am recording this today from Belfast, from my home office. I work for Matheson Square Consulting. Matheson Square Consulting is part of the Matheson Square Group. Matheson Square Group also involves the Matheson Square LLP, which is a firm of patent and trademark attorneys based in London. So, who am I? What's the proposal? So the proposal is about intellectual property training. I'm Richard Nugent. I have a long experience in delivering training, and I've been working in the area of intellectual property. This is my 15th year working in the area of intellectual property directly. I suppose I've got a wee bit more experience than that beyond that, and also been in the area of contracts for about 20 years. What we'd like to do in this proposal, I'd be delivering this training alongside my colleague Anthony Coleman and Lawrence Bickers. Both Tony and Lawrence actually this morning are delivering training online to a cohort in Turkey. So unfortunately they're unable to join this recording, so sorry about that. Anyway, for many years now we've been delivering training to groups all around the world, both in person and online. And this is something that we do. It's a regular activity. We do this alongside international partners. And those are well-established relationships. And we would suggest delivering the IP training in this proposal across 10 different geographies, and focused on those geographies with partners in those areas. And we'd also suggest the IP audits would be 2 from each cohort, and those would be chosen by the local partners. They wouldn't be chosen by us. So fundamentally, what we were wanting to do is to help people understand more about their intellectual property and about the intangible assets that are sitting within their organization, within their teams, within their businesses, and to help them make the most of those and to create value from them, maybe to generate some revenue and create some jobs. And this can really be very useful to people. We found that often organizations don't realize all the intangible assets that are sitting within their business, or they sort of realize them, but fundamentally they're not focused on them because the core thing to focus on at that time is, well, can I get enough sales to pay all my people in my company this month? Or can I get enough sales? Just full stop. So these are big areas of focus for companies, and they often don't have time to think about intellectual property in a very focused way. And this can be really quite detrimental. And it means that a lot of value is left unused in companies. We want to help people make the most of the value that they have. And also, through the intellectual property training, people will be much better, they'll be in a much better position to do this. So as I say, we have a lot of experience in delivering IP training. We also have a lot of experience in doing the IP audits. We do IP audits for companies all around the world, and in particular we do them in the UK. And many of those are sponsored by the UK's National Intellectual Property Office. So we are well experienced and well known to many national intellectual property offices. We've worked with them in the past, and we would expect and hope that we're honoured to work with them in the future. So it'll be a great blessing if you could support us in this proposal, and a great privilege. So we thank you for your support. We thank you for your votes, most of all, and we hope that you'll have your support and your votes. And we look forward to delivering this IP training and indeed providing the IP audits supplementary to them. So thanks very much. Thanks, now. Have a great day. Bye-bye.